This is episode 91, Navigating New York Climate Week 2025. Hello, Definers, and welcome to this episode of Sustainability Defined. I'm your host, Nathra.
And I'm your host, Cecilia. This episode is going to be a little bit different today. We are breaking down New York Climate Week, what it is, what it isn't, how it got started, the structure, and what events to look out for. We are also going to be sitting down with the founders of the Climate Film Festival, one of the kickoff events for New York City Climate Week, to talk about their event and more generally the power of film and mass media in moving the climate conversation forward. So without further ado, let's get started.
New York Climate Week is probably one of the most well-known events in the climate space. So many of you Definers will be in attendance, which, by the way, please send us a DM at Sustainability Defined.
Please!
We would love to meet you.
Pretty please.
And for those of you who are not going to be at Climate Week, don't feel left out. There are plenty of virtual events that you can tap into, and we have a great conversation coming up with the folks from the Climate Film Festival ahead. And you know, climate weeks have become a global movement, so you can also search to see if there's one happening near you. I was a part of the team that founded DC Climate Week, and it was amazing to see the momentum around this movement that started from New York in 2009, and just to see how it spread around the country and the world.
Such a cool thing to be a part of, Nathra. That is so awesome. And Nathra and I actually met up at DC Climate Week. It was so cool and crazy to think that this year was the first year of that event in DC. San Francisco and LA just had their Climate Week a couple months ago. Pacific Northwest had theirs last month. And Mexico City, shout out Mexico, as J-Lo would say, mi gente latina, is having their first one in October, and Toronto as well. This is becoming a global movement. People want to bring this conversation to their communities. And if there's any definers out there listening, maybe this is your sign to start one. And you can find out what others are taking place in whatever cities at climateweeks.com.
Fellow Georgia folks, Atlanta needs one. Can someone bring this? Can someone bring this up?
Nathra, it has to be you. You started DC Climate Week.
Well, I'm a New Yorker now, but okay, I always have Atlanta in my blood.
She's a city girl.
I'm a city girl.
I mean, if we're shouting out home states, Texas, I'm looking at you too. But to be fair, Houston just had theirs, big energy city, and Austin is having their first one next April, but Dallas, catch up. Anyway, back to it. New York City Climate Week was started by the Climate Group in 2009, as Nathan mentioned. It is positioned in September year after year to align with the opening of the United Nations General Assembly. The UN General Assembly is the annual gathering of all 193 United Nations member states in New York City every September. World leaders come together to debate global issues, set priorities and agendas, and negotiate on everything from peace, security, to human rights and sustainable development. New York Climate Week happens at the same time as the UN General Assembly. Very strategic here.
Very strategic.
And it's not a coincidence. The UN General Assembly already draws heads of states, ministers, CEOs, NGOs, journalists, and more from all over the world to New York City. Talk about a hub, am I right? Climate Week New York City was created to ride that wave, essentially, making sure that while world leaders are in town, climate is front and center on the agenda. Very strategic, like I mentioned before.
Not a coincidence.
No, I love it. They were like, can we collab?
Exactly.
Anyway, while the UN General Assembly is the official UN process, Climate Week New York City is more of a parallel. It's a decentralized platform. It's full of panels, community events, cross-sector meetups, where a lot of the business leaders, activists, scientists, artists, etc. can all participate. Think of the United Nations General Assembly as the formal stage and Climate Week as the buzzing ecosystem around it. Insert laugh here, please.
Ha 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 ha.
Sometimes critiquing it, sometimes reinforcing it, but always trying to push the climate conversation forward.
Honestly, this context is important, and it's such a smart way that the Climate Group thought to catalyze this event. And to be clear, the climate group who started New York Climate Week does not oversee all the climate weeks popping up around the world. In fact, they only run New York Climate Week amongst other independent events that they host. But the term Climate Week is not trademarked or anything. So various community organizations and groups of motivated folks, like maybe some definers who are listening here, are modeling after New York City and starting one.
Love to see every city taking charge in this global movement that's taking place.
And I do want to pause here because there has been some criticism around climate weeks, right?
Uh-oh.
Some people feel like they're performative, that they're just another COP-style gathering where folks rack up emissions to fly in and have high-profile fancy dinners and then walk away with lots of treaties or glossy announcements, but not much real action. And honestly, that skepticism is fair. A lot of events can feel exclusive, high ticket prices, insider networks, and things like that, which means that the people most impacted by climate change, aka frontline communities or even younger activists, often get sidelined. And while they are invited, sometimes it's more symbolic than substantive. Critics also point out that corporations can dominate these weeks, using them for greenwashing or even pushing incremental solutions ahead of real systemic change. And again, making those announcements with no action behind it. And not trying to put them all in a bucket here, but yeah, we definitely want real accountability. And with so many cities now launching climate weeks, there's even more worry about fatigue. Like, are we scattering energy and bringing all these people out instead of building like a unified momentum? But here's where I land. Like we always say on the podcast, being an environmentalist means staying skeptical and staying hopeful. And I truly think that the benefits and ripple effects of climate weeks are really powerful. You have people gathering, meeting, building partnerships and communities that might have never formed otherwise. And you're actually signaling to local economies and governments that there's a real demand for climate solutions and that masses are gathering around this arena and this topic. And I think that's extremely important. And conversations that happen here lead to real action. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. It's not just corporations that are gathering, it's also happening at a community level, which is so easy to overlook, but still so critical because so many important environmental movements happen at a grassroots level. So yes, accountability matters. We should absolutely hold leaders and companies to their commitments and not let these weeks be catch-all exclusive events for inaction. But at the same time, we can't let invisible progress or slow progress stop us from showing up, building space, taking space, and creating momentum. Everything counts right now. And not all climate weeks are the same. I mean, New York is the longest standing one, but other cities are building this from the ground up and have a lot of real community action that are uplifting so many organizations and movements along the way.
Wow. Love it and love the global movement that's starting. Thanks for that spiel, Nitra.
Yes. Sorry. Let me get off my soapbox here. I'm like literally getting into it.
No, but we needed that. We needed that.
Right. So let's really just break down the week. So you can think about Climate Week as a New York City fashion week for sustainability and climate solution geeks. Not only are you networking with like-minded professionals at this event, but you are participating in a community that is key in shaping a global movement.
And I just want to do a little quick interjection here, a little side thought. New York City Climate Week can be a fashion week. It could be a secondhand fashion week. Like, I want to see all you definers wearing your best thrifted outfits and we can just, I don't know, have a little moment about it.
Yeah, I mean, there actually are a lot of great fashion shows taking place during the week, too. There's a lot of sustainable fashion groups that are convening. For example, Black Oak Collective is doing a fashion show at Marketplace of the Future on September 27th. So,
shout out.
Get your tickets.
Yeah, this year, New York City Climate Week will be taking place from September 21st to the 28th. And there are a ton of events with a ton of diverse topics, speakers, and attendees, as well as several themes this year as well. To name a few of the themes, we've got the Built Environment Program, which has a focus on how climate impact is basically impacted from the infrastructure that we build and the use of physical spaces. There's energy, environmental justice, finance, food, health. industries like cement and steel making, with the focus on how they're some of the biggest emitters of carbon emissions, followed by plastic and aluminum. Then there's nature and policy. And finally, another theme is sustainable living and what it means to participate in collective individual action. I guess you could say, because we have to say it at every podcast, this is where you learn how to vote with your dollar.
Yes, sustainable living. And I love that this week is covering the entire climate ecosystem. There's over 900 events and activations and campaigns taking place. So, of course, we're going to see a wide breadth of topics being covered. And we're going to give you just a brief overview of the ones that Cecilia and I are looking forward to, but there's tons more out there, definers, so do your research. For some context, usually the convening organizer for the Climate Week, in New York's case, the Climate Group that you might have heard me mention before, they are going to be hosting some of their own programming, which we will talk about later in the episode. So not all 900 of these events are hosted by the Climate Group, but rather organizations all over the city, which in my opinion makes these weeks so cool because everyone is showing up and participating, from mom and pop coffee shops to community organizing groups to New York-based local groups to bigger corporations. So this is exciting. And to global corporations. There's a big global presence at New York Climate Week.
Very exciting, Nathra, but could you imagine how long this episode would be if we sat down and explained what each of the 900 events are? I mean, I would never leave this chair.
No, seriously. And the cool thing about this conference is that it really is so deep. Like there's such a widespread reach amongst this, and it only started like 10 years ago, I think. No, sorry. It started in 2009. I take that back. But still, like the momentum is crazy.
The math.
The math is not mathing. But the cool thing is that it unites people from all different professional levels, disciplines, and backgrounds. And, a lot of conferences that we see in the space can be really exclusive, but Climate Week is for everyone. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that is super cool. And the scope of these events are also crazy. I mean, there's small meetups, run clubs, large festival, nature walks, e-bike tours around the city. I mean, what more could you want in New York? There's climate slam poetry and art events. I mean, I'm a little overwhelmed just thinking about all this. I'm like, what am I going to go to? What am I going to miss? I'm already experiencing FOMO, but
FOMO is so real right now.
As I parse through the many ways that I can make the most of the week, I keep trying to remind myself that I can't be everywhere at once, and I really want to narrow down a few and map out my experience a little to prevent burnout.
That's a good point, Cecilia. I'm trying to keep my FOMO in check because I am. Because if I'm overwhelmed and tired, then there's not much I'm going to absorb. So I'm really trying to aim for 4 to 6 events for the week, and here is what I'm really looking forward to. So the first one is the Climate Film Festival taking place on September 19th through 22nd. And we're going to have an interview with them, so I'm not going to get too much into that one. But big drum roll for this event, Marketplace of the Future. This is a take on the 1939 World's Fair that happened in New York City. It will be from noon to 10 p.m. on Saturday the 27th. And it will be a showcase of tons of climate solutions. It's sort of like an indoor climate festival. There's going to be art installations, live music, a sustainable fashion show, exhibitors, and a market for climate and impact-oriented organizations. So I really recommend everyone come here as a great way to close out the week and just like kick back and have like a fun time. You might actually see a familiar face there. I will be hosting a plant-based matcha pop-up in collaboration with Oatly and Wild Orchard Teas.
Okay, Jeff.
So come grab a drink, and definers, come meet me. I think Cecilia is going to pull up too. We've been planning.
Yes, we're going to be there. If you guys are going to be at Marketplace of the Future, please DM us. We would love to meet you guys and just have a fun chat. Like, I would love to do that. But one that I also think is going to be a super interesting event is happening on Thursday. It's called The Magical Thinking and Greenwashing in Big Tech's AI Takeover. This is a public event that will feature a panel discussion as well as a Q&A with representatives from a mix of national and community-based organizations that are campaigning to limit the impact of data centers on communities. So it'll be really interesting if you're interested on AI's impact in climate space.
This brought up an intrusive thought for me. Have you ever
Uh-oh.
seen that video of the woman who lives near a data center and she turns her faucet only for it to just be droplets of brown water?
Terrifying video. And this is the sort of impact that this event will cover. If you're interested in how big tech companies are shaping a misleading narrative on how AI can save the planet, I encourage you to be a part of this conversation.
And Definers, with that being said, it's time for a quick intermission of Would You Rather?
Yes, intermission.
First question, Cecilia, are you ready for this segment?
Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready, Nathra?
Born ready. Would you rather have a tech company promise to offset their emissions with tree planting or actually just use less water in their data centers?
This is a good question. I have a professor that one day he just walked into class and the topic of the class was carbon offsets. He walks in and he's like, I'm going to do a hot take. I don't like carbon offsets. So I'm going to stay true to Vishal Agrawal. Hey, Vishal. And I'm going to go with actually use less water in their data centers.
Agreed. Same take for me.
Next question. Would you rather trust an AI to design your city's climate plan or trust oil executives to write it?
I'm actually going to say AI because I feel like AI is thorough, whereas oil executives have been known to like keep things under the rug and use marketing to like misguide the community. So
The OG greenwashers.
literally the OG greenwasher. So I think I'd much rather trust AI.
Honestly, me too. And you can like really program your AI to, I don't know, give you different angles. Like my AI would never tell me I'm wrong, for example.
You've programmed it that
Yeah,
way, loyal follower.
Yeah.
Okay, Cecilia, would you rather have an AI assistant that makes your coffee perfectly every morning or one that writes your LinkedIn post for Climate Week?
Ooh, this one is easy for me because I was a barista, so I would rather make my own coffee and have AI write my LinkedIn posts.
Good.
Next, would you rather let ChatGPT pick your next Halloween costume or let it pick your next boyfriend?
Okay, well, I'm hoping to not have a next boyfriend. Shout out Parth if you're listening.
Same. Hey there.
Yeah, you better be the one. So I'm going to say next Halloween costume.
But I mean, yeah. What if it was a really bad Halloween costume and you would have to wear it? Would you wear it?
I'm pretty committed to the look.
Okay. Respect.
And finally, Cecilia, would you rather attend a Climate Week panel moderated by AI or have AI as a guest on Sustainability Defined?
Oh, I'm having them as a guest. I'm ready to grill chat. Let's get into it.
Chatiana.
Chatiana, stop.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning into that segment, Definers. Back to our main topic. So another event that I am particularly looking forward to at Climate Week is a bird walk hosted by Generation Environment taking place in Central Park. It's guided by apparently the one and only Birding Bob.
Stop.
Don't know who that is.
I already love Bob.
Excited
I
to
love
find
him.
out.
I need to go. I need to
Right?
meet him.
He's New York's infamous expert birder.
Stop.
So I have lived in New York for 3 years and don't know anything about the local birdies, just the pigeons. So I'm excited to go to
Oh my
this.
god. Oh my god. I want to meet Birding Bob. I need to go there. But have you seen that video talking about how pigeons were domesticated and then left behind by humans, and that's why they're in all the major cities? This makes me so sad.
Yes, I have seen that video, and I think about that every single time I see a pigeon. That
It's
one,
so sad.
it really tugged on my heartstrings. And my sister calls pigeons a rat of the sky, but I love them. So justice for pigeons and rats everywhere because they keep New York City interesting.
There's more of them than people. They are the city girls.
They are.
Also saw that there's going to be a climate karaoke hosted by Snowcap and a surfing event in Rockaway Island with Propeller plus Regen. These look great and super cool. I mean, I'm really interested in tapping more into the water space maybe this year.
Agreed. And, Definers, we mentioned some of our favorite events, but there are a couple main events taking place that I touched on earlier, hosted by the Climate Group. One of them is the Hub Live event. This will take place from the 23rd to the 22nd with 3 flagship sessions, breakouts, side events, and roundtables. So you're going to see heads of government, business leaders, experts. They're all going to be diving into some of the most pressing climate issues, policies, and solutions. So I definitely recommend checking that out.
Definitely recommend it if you are interested in hearing from some of the top decision makers in this space. And another main event is the Executive Series. This event is invite only, so it is an exclusive event, but it's meant to boost collaboration and dialogue in pathways to climate progress for policymakers, business leaders, and others. So I hope to see some positive outcomes from this.
Must be nice to be invited next time.
Must be nice. Hey, maybe one day.
Right. Folks in charge, if you're listening, like wink, wink.
Wink, wink. We can be your media.
So that's a little bit about the conference. Go to their website if you're interested in learning more about the events that are open to the public. The public calendar of events doesn't seem to be out just yet. Maybe it will be by the time this episode releases, but a lot of groups have compiled lists and airtables. We will link those in our September newsletter that comes out with the episode. So you can subscribe to our newsletter on our website. We love writing them.
Yeah, please subscribe.
So check them out. We always post some cool resources on there. And now, another great addition to New York City Climate Week, the Climate Film Festival. This has been going on for the last 2 years and takes place this year from September 19th through 22nd with the goal to rewrite the narrative on climate change through the power of film.
The power of film. That sounds so poetic. I love that little saying. My cousin is a filmmaker, so this kind of, is near and dear to me. So, hey, cousin, if you're listening, I'm thinking of you.
Hey, Cecilia's cousin. We met up with him in France. He was great.
He's so cool. He actually just produced one of his own films, and he really was trying to focus on making his set very sustainable and, reusing a lot of stuff. So yeah, shout out. Anyways, Climate Film Fest was founded back in 2023 by a group of professionals, artists, and curators that were passionate about climate science and sustainability. Their mission is to bring together a more diverse community from the filmmakers through storytelling that can empower action to create a more sustainable future.
Now that's poetic. Mass media and films have the ability to inspire their audiences, communicate values, fears, and what to love. They obviously are huge influences on our society. So I'm really excited to see how Climate Film Fest is doing just that to inspire a more sustainable future. And you're going to be hearing all about that, Definers.
Yeah, and branching out from Climate Film Fest itself, movies hold a lot of value to audiences. You'll hear more about this in our interview portion, but not a lot of movies in Hollywood depict a world in which the characters with the story are aware of experiencing climate change challenges.
Exactly. What's up with that, Hollywood? We need to get you guys...
What's up with that?
We need to get a Hollywood Climate Week and just completely focus on the film industry and how we can influence more people through that.
And Brad Pitt.
And Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, Brad Pitt for me. Would you rather? No, I'm kidding.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
But young Leo?
Yes,
Sorry.
young Leo. Stay tuned to hear more about the event from the founders themselves. All right, Definers, we are joined with Alec Turnbull and Jay English Cook, the co-founders and executive and artistic directors of the Climate Film Festival. Welcome to Sustainability Defined, Alec and English. I wanted to start by saying congratulations for founding and really putting incredible energy around such an exciting event. This year will be my first year attending, and as we were researching for this episode, I was surprised to learn the festival only started in 2023. How did you get the idea to create this? Tell us a bit about yourselves and your origin story here.
Yeah, this was really a collaboration originally between myself and English, and arose really organically. My background originally is in tech. I worked in software for many years, and in 2020, as with many people, had a little bit of a moment for self-reflection, let's just say.
Definitely.
And decided that I really wanted to work on something a little bit more impact-oriented. And so started diving into climate tech, literally typing into Google, like, what can you do about climate change? Like, how can I help? And through that, really found a lot of community in the climate space, in climate tech. I now work also in climate tech professionally, in addition to the film festival. And English and I are married. This is kind of the origin story too.
Love that.
And English really comes at this from much more of an artistic background. So it was sort of this meeting of minds originally. It's grown far past both of us at this point.
Thanks, Alec. I was so inspired watching Alec really step into his own climate journey, and I started asking, how can I also step into the fold? As Alec mentioned, I come from more of an arts background, curation, art history, film programming, working in the museum scene with film festivals, and for a long time, I had thought, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a journalist, I don't have the kind of hard skills needed to enter into the climate conversation. That's somebody else's terrain. What am I doing in this space? And watching Alec ask the good questions of how can I use my skill set and my experience to then pivot into the conversation, I realized we all have something to give. We can all bring these conversations into our own backyard and find community and build community. So that was really the moment when Alec and I, on our couch, as we always say, I'm actually calling in from our apartment, so right behind me, we started having this conversation of how can we combine forces? What is it that we can do? Where can we go to learn? So we started looking around New York City, our backyard, thinking that a climate film festival must already exist. It's New York City. And we were so shocked to learn that it really wasn't built yet. In fact, there weren't too many climate film festivals at a more macro, large scale in the United States, although there's some wonderful kind of early kernel iterations and other amazing environmental film fest, but something with a really climate forward focused mindset wasn't yet in the world. So that was really the beginning stage back in 2023, and it's been off to the races ever since.
Wow. I love that we can see your origin couch in the background, and I love the story. So inspiring.
Very inspiring story. I love that you guys each brought in your own angles and expertise into creating this conversation around climate change and sustainability and awareness. Love that. And this is definitely very impact oriented. And along those lines, most of us can contest that documentaries were our gateway drug into sustainability, or that climate journey that you mentioned, English. These documentaries and films really solidified and helped us visualize the things that we may have learned online or in class. Some of mine were Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, and all the David Attenborough nature docs. Curious to know what was yours. Netra, tell us about yours. And Alec and English, please give us your gateway drug of documentaries into this space.
Such a good way to put that, because, like, for lack of a better word, I feel like I was radicalized by so many of the documentaries I watched.
Seriously.
In the best way. Like, I feel like my young, impressionable mind was really inspired to see these things. The visuals were really impactful.
Shocking,
impactful, right. I remember in AP Environmental Science watching The True Cost.
Oh, classic.
That was a film about the fashion industry and exposing the human rights violations and the climate impact of mass textile production. And I remember when we were watching this in class, I was literally crying in the front row, and it just stuck with me to this day. What about you, English and Alec? Were there any films that really, like, caught you?
Oh, definitely. Gateway drug. I'm going to borrow that for our marketing communications material ahead. I hope that's okay. Such a good way.
Yes, go for it.
But that is just it, right? We have that kind of spark moment. And for me, I mean, I'm going back into the archives here, kid of the 90s. And I'm from Atlanta originally and grew up
What? Me too.
Wait, no way. Oh.
I grew up in Marietta.
What? I'm a Buckhead kid. What's up?
Oh, that's so funny. Love that.
All right, we'll have to continue this conversation after, because now I have so many more questions.
Right.
All right, so then this might hit differently / similarly for you, but I remember actually to go with a real classic of the genre, An Inconvenient Truth. We had a screening at school, and I remember at the time there was a Young Republicans club at my school, and they had a protest outside handing up pamphlets saying climate change isn't real, it's a hoax. This was like 6th, 7th grade for me. It was the first time that, kind of American politics and the infrastructure around climate denialism and climate change kind of entered into my own mind. At the same time, again, kid of the 90s, growing up watching great movies like Fern Gully and Free Willy and just some of these like anger classics that are more narrative based.
Free Willy.
Right? Ugh, delightful.
Yeah, that's a classic one. Yeah, I didn't even think to put that into the climate space of films, honestly. That's because it doesn't really touch on it directly, but it's a good
It's
film.
definitely the gateway drug into animal advocacy, I would say.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
But I like that you called it an anger classic because, yes, that's what it was. You really felt something. It drew you. That whole narrative, like the pathos of it all is really tugging on your emotions. And oh my gosh, the inconvenient truth. I remember I saw Al Gore in real life for the climate reality training, and I was like, you really started such a movement here. I mean, it had its implications politically and societally, but still. Alec, I'm curious to hear from you.
Yeah, I might go a little off-road here with mine. This is, I think, less my gateway drug into climate at large, and more into climate film and thinking through like what the different possibilities are and expanding at least like my own perspectives. There's this beautiful, weird documentary, very kind of artistic documentary that came out a couple years ago by Deborah Stratman called Last Things. It's this experimental video that is all about rocks and geologic time and the notion, and it was just absolutely expansive in terms of the ideas and ways that film can represent movement, can represent time, and can show what I think you've all kind of been talking about, like what you don't see. And so for me, kind of having that as this like interesting form revelation of like how do we visualize climate change? It's this thing so hard to talk about, so hard to see. How do you visualize these geologic structures? And it did such a good job of, I was like, are rocks alive? Yeah. That I think was maybe my gateway drug more into like film and form.
You totally just brought back some like flashbacks, in elementary school science class when thinking about are rocks alive? That was a very big debate I had going on when I was young. But anyways, sidetrack. These films stick with you. I mean, they're the gateway drug, right? They stick with you, the visuals, the storytelling, the connection to what makes us humans. Films have such a power in bringing people together with this like common experience or the common human like values in humanity. So this leads me to ask you both, why Film Fest? How do you see film as a powerful tool for advancing this movement, sending a message regarding climate change and the goals around it?
I mean, film is obviously a medium of mass culture, right? And if there's one thing that we've seen, especially in the last year and change, has been the importance of the cultural conversation to everything, right? Culture change precedes political change. It is absolutely essential. And also, if you look at major movements that have been successful recently, from marijuana legalization, gay marriage, gay rights, civil rights, the laws almost always followed mass cultural change. And that cultural change came through media, it came through activists, it came through the normalization of the conversation. And it was often only after the point at which the laws felt like they were overdue, they were coming late, that they actually came into being. And so I think that working in the cultural space is such an essential part of any movement, and also one that is and has been actively worked on by the oil industry, right? If you look at shows like Landman, this is an active space. Like, there are climate stories being told, maybe just not the ones that we want to be told. And so supporting and creating a place for that is essential. And I think for film and a film kind of artists and creating space for it and a film festival, one question we had was, we think there are these films out there. We think there's something out there. Is there? And we put out this open call, and I'll let English talk a little bit more to it. But what we found is that it's absolutely crucial to not just like support this conversation, but also to create a place for it, right? And a place in New York, right, where people can come together in person. You can have the shared experience, the shared vision on screen that you can talk about. The sort of we think about it as the campfire theory of change, right? Everyone's sitting around this glowing, kind of flickering screen, and it's this moment for sharing stories and for building community. And the film festival becomes that. It becomes this place for that. but also this place where these filmmakers can come together and gather and talk and show their work that wasn't necessarily being shown before. And again, English is artistic director here, so I'm going to toss it over to her to actually talk about the work itself, too.
That's incredible. I loved the campfire theory of change. Really cool.
I've never heard that before, but I'm definitely going to research into that. And I think it's such a true feeling because I think about even just the feeling of being in a movie theater and like the coziness and the idea of sitting somewhere undistracted watching something with a bunch of other people and feeling all the same things, the music, the lights, the visuals. It's powerful.
Thanks, y'all. Really appreciate it. And y'all are one of the first audiences ever to hear about our campfire theory of change.
Ooh.
Yeah, so a special kind of
Ooh.
behind the scenes, pulling back the curtains moment.
Exclusive.
Okay, I love it.
Excellent. And I know trying to demystify film festivals as well. And also kind of thinking about some of the films that we've already brought up in this conversation today, from, again, something like the classic of An Inconvenient Truth to something like work by Deborah Stratman, again, this incredible contemporary filmmaker. And all the narrative, Fern Gullies, Free Willies, everything in between. Like, there is such a wide array, we call it a wide angle approach to climate cinema. And even thinking about Free Willy, which may not necessarily be a climate, capital C, film in the sense of tackling these topics really head on, but it does deeply engage with the power of storytelling. Again, this campfire theory of change coming together in a collective communal sense around the power of the flickering screen, which can really help platform and create shared experiences, which is Alec was talking about in terms of the power of mass media to enact and affect change and mobilization. All of these films have such different and amazing touch points and bring different audiences together that is something that we hold really close and dear here at the festival. So the actual process of how we select our films, I could talk a little bit about the nitty-gritty for anyone who might enjoy nerding out briefly about film festivals and film programming. As Alec mentioned, we have an open call that goes from roughly January to May of every year. And we really just post online. We use a platform called Film Freeway, which is a pretty classic go-to for both festivals and filmmakers to upload and submit their films. And through that last year, our very first year of operations, we received about 320 submissions. This year we were excited.
Ooh, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, this
That's
year
a
we
lot of
received
film to watch.
450. Yeah, so it's on the uptick, which I think is such a sign that there is interest.
Yeah, that is a really good sign.
Yeah.
And do you guys watch all these 400 films together on this couch that brought Climate Film Festival? I'm curious.
Amazing. I feel like I should say yes, just to continue the narrative. But no, that would be a lot of hours in eyeball activity time. Thankfully, we have a team of about 40 screeners, all volunteers, who are down through open call to help watch. We make sure every film is watched by at least 2 people in full.
Cool.
And we have a rubric that we provide to say, hey, like, these are the films that CFF, Climate Film Festival, is on the lookout for. After that process ends, we then have a senior programming team of about 5 folks, in addition to myself. And we all watch a number of the films kind of together and then have a conversation about the final kaleidoscope, wanting to make sure that we platform different formats. So again, narrative, documentary, episodic, even YouTube. We're thinking about leaning into more shorter form, social media, as well as different kind of climate conversations, to really have that full kind of kaleidoscope effect. So that's a little quick skinny on the back end.
You mentioned that you have volunteers as the people that watch these 400 films. How can people become a volunteer? For any of the listeners out there, maybe they're interested, they live in New York City, and they would love to be a part of it. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely, I can. Thank you for the moment to give a shout out to both our volunteer team and to any prospective volunteers. We are always on the lookout for additional hands. Whether it is actually helping out on site coming up in September. So the festival will run September 19, Friday through Monday, September 22nd. We have lots of different volunteer opportunities then. You can check us out on our website. We have kind of a quick and dirty application form that we continue to monitor.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to screen, also feel free, just give us a shout. We have different contact information available on our website, and I will keep an eye out.
Lovely. Well, you heard it here, Definers. Check out the website if you're interested in participating in such a cool event like this and being part of the mass media that is shaping culture and politics. Super cool.
Yeah, and I gotta ask, can you walk us through what the actual event looks like? Like, once you've picked the films, What can we expect? Is it like we're all sitting in a theater together, we're watching, or is it split up with panels?
Yeah. So the film festival runs Friday through Monday. We added a day this year, which is Monday. We start opening night, which is Friday, and we're doing a throwback. Again, throwback to the 90s, getting a vibe here, at least on this call, with a 25-year anniversary screening of Aaron Brockovich. So call back to one of the classics, and also classic narrative film, right? Trying to bring in not just documentary, but also this broad kind of angle lens on what these climate stories can be. Doing that in partnership with Universal, which is really cool, and The Guardian as our presenting media partner. And then over the weekend, we have our hub set up in the Lower East Side. So we'll be at Regal Essex Crossing in the Lower East Side. And we'll have 2 screens going in parallel all day, starting around 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. roughly on Saturday, and sort of 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. 2 screens. We've got shorts blocks, we've got features, we've got narrative, we've got doc. Really wide array of topics. There's so many others that we wish we could fit in, but there's also only so many hours in the day. And it's also important to us to create this hub moment for the weekend, right? Where it's not spread out throughout the city, but it's really in one place. You can go, you can hang out for the day. And as part of that, we're also right on top of Essex Market, which is this historic public market in New York City. Used to be across the street. Now it's in this new building below the movie theater. And we are doing panels and workshops throughout the weekend, also kind of in parallel, that are really oriented towards filmmakers, whether they're veterans in the space or aspiring, creators, creatives, scriptwriters, people on set. And those are around everything from, writers' rooms to how do you use batteries instead of diesel generators on set and solar base camps, to questions around impact or strategies around distribution and financing. Really kind of that filmmaker toolkit for so many of the independent creators who are and filmmakers who are kind of coming to the festival and in the room. We have Q&As after every event with filmmakers. We've got an incredible number of people coming. 31 New York premieres, New York Plus. This includes some world premieres, some international premieres. And I think that also just speaks to why we do this, right? The idea that of these 50 films we're showing, mix of, I think we've got about 10 features, the rest are shorts, 31 of them have never been kind of publicly, widely screened in New York City, right? And these are great films. These are things that are coming out. And so, like, we want to create this space for people to come see them. And there's an importance there. And then on Monday, we've got a whole new day, which is our Narrative Change Summit. And that's sort of our addendum and our bridge into Climate Week, where we sort of flip the tables and talk about the people who often work with the filmmakers, the companies, the NGOs, and philanthropy, who are backing a lot of these projects, and really sort of bringing them into the conversation to talk about and put on stage like how they consider it and how they've worked and what's been successful, so that hopefully others can kind of learn from their successes and their collaborations, and we can get more of this out there.
Where can we get tickets?
ClimateFilmFest.com.
Perfect. And it's open for the public. Anyone can go.
Fully open to the public. Our film programs are live. Tickets are available now. We also will be opening up our public programming, which is all free. These are the panels and workshops very shortly.
And can we show up in our PJs with a blanket?
Please, can we make that our official attire, our dress code?
It's like, I'm planning on camping out.
Maybe a tissue box too. You never know.
Oh, for
Emotional
sure.
support blanket.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
How have you felt that curating this event has changed the way that you two personally approach the climate crisis?
I think it, for me, was really personal in so many ways. One, of being able to connect with incredible folks out there coming from all sorts of different journey backgrounds. Everybody, we are a 99% volunteer-run organization to this day, and everybody just saying, hey, this is cool, let's roll up our sleeves and dive in. So I think there's been a lot of gratitude on my part, and also encouragement, that you really can find community. I think, in other words, the experience of working with CFF and helping it grow has been such a case study for me of the power of cinema to bring people together and bring people under one umbrella. In addition to that, again, just coming from an arts background myself and saying for so long, like, this isn't my lane, this isn't my conversation, I don't have anything to contribute. And boy, was I wrong, right? We all do, whatever background we come from, whatever skill set, whether it's a passion or your 9 to 5 or your family conversation at the dinner table, like, there are so many ways to, again, roll up their sleeves and lean in.
Definitely. And you bring up such a great point. Like, it doesn't matter your background or if you are an environmentalist, you're working in climate change, or you're working in big oil. We all have something to contribute to this conversation. And I love how you guys opened up this platform, this forum to showcase these conversations and bring in people from all angles, from the nonprofits to the production companies to the filmmakers, the volunteers. It's truly incredible. I'm very inspired, honestly. I love it. Thank you guys for all your work that you are doing. And Alec, earlier you asked, what is the power of film? You guys have touched on this a lot, and to circle back on the conversation on what is the power of film, Hollywood is regarded as the powerhouse of film globally. It's made up of 500 to a couple thousand people that write and produce these stories that shape American and global culture. These films can inspire people and tell people what is worth living for, fighting for, and suffering for. These stories can really create a personal connection between audiences. You know, that feeling where you're in the movie theater and you're all just crying together or laughing together, whatever it may be. And these films really have the power to impact people's attitudes and decisions. So I'm curious to hear about what role you think Hollywood plays in advocating for sustainability and climate change. And do you think this topic will be represented more in the future, or what do you think about Hollywood in this space?
Yeah, this is also a hot topic in Hollywood itself. There are a few amazing groups that are working both in studios and with studios, and also in literally in Hollywood. So there's a group called the Hollywood Climate Summit that brings everyone together in June, doing amazing work and really centering this conversation very actively. Groups like Universal's Greener Light bring sustainability on set. Other groups also do consulting. Good Energy, NRDC's Rewrite the Future work really closely with Hollywood studios to do consulting for how you can bring sustainability on screen in a variety of different ways. I think that the question of, like, what is the role of Hollywood is an active one, right? Because Hollywood is also business. And so I think that the best way to really sort of showcase the role of Hollywood, like, Hollywood's goal is not impact. Hollywood's goal is viewership and
Profit.
profit, right? And ultimately, the best argument is that people want to see these stories. And I think you've seen this in a few other sort of underrepresented or historically underrepresented areas. Like, if you look at Sinners is a great example this year of a story and movie that has just, it's new IP, it's new franchise, amazing director, and absolutely, like, there's demand for different types of stories. The more that we show it, the more that Hollywood studios will come out and buy them and put them on streaming services as well. But there's great people working in a space on set and on screen.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love to hear that. And these organizations like the Hollywood Climate Summit and Universal's Greener Light sound super cool. Definitely will be checking that out. I was just a little curious to ask this because earlier I read an article from The Guardian that showcased a nonprofit did a study where it analyzed whether the climate crisis was present in 250 of the top grossing fictional films between 2013 and 2022. And it found that only 24 of them, or 9.6%, showcased in the film that the character was aware of climate change. So, I was just really confused as to why this disconnect is happening. Why is Hollywood sort of reluctant to address the environmental emergency? I mean, I know it's not a feel-good topic. Maybe people don't want to watch it in the movies, but there's definitely some cool films about it, like Don't Look Up with Leonardo DiCaprio was really good. Twisters was good too, but the director of that movie sort of didn't want to mention climate change, which I also found sort of
A
interesting.
missed opportunity, honestly.
Yeah, so curious to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, that study came out from Good Energy, one of the organizations that I mentioned. They also have a playbook for sort of thinking about and understanding different climate mentions in film, from whether it is just sort of part of the world and acknowledged, to all the way to this is a film that is explicitly about climate change. They also say, and again, I just want to cite my sources here. They also say that any film that doesn't reference climate change as part of its everyday world really is, at this point, it's like that is science fiction, right? Or that is fantasy. Like, it is part of our everyday world.
Right. I have seen this angle, and it's crazy that it's, science fiction.
I think that it doesn't necessarily like need to be in every film or the topic of it, but to ignore it is to ignore reality, especially if you're doing something that is meant to be situated in a contemporary U.S. or contemporary world. And it's also something where I think it's a missed creative opportunity, right? Like, how many people have climate anxiety? How many people care about this and are thinking through it? And it's something that we have these blinders on and these blockers on because people, and writers too, I think, feel like, oh, I don't have expertise in this, or, oh, I don't want to write another trope, right? I don't want to write an apocalyptic story, or I don't see how this affects everyday lives, right? And that's something that we're really excited with the Film Fest, and I think already seeing some filmmakers trying to explore and push forward more too, is how do you break past some of these more traditional tropes, because there's so many ways that you can bring climate into a story. And
yes, definitely.
It's hard. It's always hard to break out and to kind of think through new ways of making art. But that's the exciting part.
Yeah. I mean, I recently saw the film Death by a Unicorn, and I thought, speaking of tropes, that was a really interesting way they sort of phrased some environmental challenges in that movie. I thought it was really cool.
I haven't seen it. How
Ooh,
did they phrase it?
I don't want to spoil too much, but it's all about like animal exploitation, and they're using these unicorns to get like really precious resources out of them, and Jenna Ortega like stands up for them, and she's like, no, we shouldn't do this. But it never mentions like explicitly this is animal exploitation or, like overconsumption of resources. It's really well depicted. I recommend.
I think those are my favorite types of integration of climate narratives. Like, even in Wicked, I mean, that was a little bit more overt.
Don't even bring up Wicked to me. I'll cry.
Right. I was crying because I mean, I'm really passionate about animal advocacy, and I feel like they did a really good job of integrating that into the movie. I mean, it's a core part of the plot line, but it really can like build empathy in children or other people watching it, because it doesn't feel like it's a documentary on animal testing, but rather something that's just pulling on your heartstrings naturally. I follow Emma Stewart on LinkedIn. She is Netflix's CSO, and she nods to how a lot of the series subtly brings in climate narratives. Like, I think it was Sullivan's Crossing. In one of the seasons, they talk a lot about a natural disaster and how it's affecting like the economy, because they own like a small camping ground in Nova Scotia, and so the flooding and things like that really affect their business. So just small things like that built in. I'm like, okay, on the Summer I Turn Pretty, can they have a compost bin in the corner? Can they demonstrate that? Like, all these really...
Nathan, you love that show.
I love that show. It's been on my mind so much. But like, yeah, it's like, how can we bring these things in more subtly?
Yeah, good point.
I'm going to do a quick plug here and just say that if you want to have more of these conversations about how to plug it in, how to write for climate, different types of stories, if you want to see people who are thinking about it and pitching new climate films, if you want to see or have a conversation around impact and what impact means in Hollywood, we will have public panel programming on all of this at the Climate Film Fest. So come on by.
Shout out.
Can't wait to attend. And to close off this lovely conversation, I have to ask you guys a question we ask all our guests, which is the party fact question. So if you were at a party, what's a crazy fact you would drop to shock people about what we've been talking about?
Okay, briefly, and this is my like academic side of me coming out. It's less of a fact, more of a conversation starter for film and sustainability nerds. which is, if you go back to the very earliest history of cinema and the moving image, so many of the materials, thinking about like the plastic of film strips or early nitrate that was super combustible, or even the architecture and the glass houses of a lot of early film production, like there were already things that today we might call sustainability integrated into early cinema culture, but have been forgotten or moved away from. So I think there's such a rich opportunity, again, my academic nerd brain speaking here, but it's such a great opportunity as we kind of begin to bring together all these different topics under an umbrella that we are calling climate cinema, to really go back into the archives and look for, solutions and answers that might have been once upon a time. Perhaps we could look back and learn from them.
Once upon a time. I love it.
Yes.
Very, very film.
So cool. Well, thank you both so much for being here. For our definers, please check out the Climate Film Fest on their website. Attend if you're in New York City. They'll be kicking off.
Or
volunteer, yeah. So exciting, and just appreciate this conversation.
Yes, thank you guys for being on the podcast. And thank you again for all of the fun conversations you're bringing to the space. I really appreciate it, and it makes me hopeful.
Thank you both so much. This is fantastic. And I mean, look at you all running a podcast and working in the culture space too, right?
Power of media.
Yes.
Wow, Cecilia,
We're
look
all
at
in
us.
it together.
We're all in this together.
Yes. And that has been episode 91 of Sustainability Defined. If you are going to be at New York City Climate Week, shoot us a DM at Sustainability Defined on Instagram. We want to meet you all in person.
In person!
I actually did meet one of you definers in person at DC Climate Week. Shout out to Chess if you are listening. It was surreal that you recognized us, and really, really happy to meet you, and I want to meet more of you.
Oh my God, yay, Chess! That's awesome. And if you definers ever have any cool ideas for guests, partnerships, events, or just general feedback, good or bad, we're all about growth here. You can email us at hosts@sustainabilitydefined.com. We have been loving your emails and replies to our episodes, as well as our newsletter, and we do our best to respond to all of them, as well as give advice or whatever you guys ask for. We also love your Instagram DMs, so keep those coming, please. I love reading them.
Love them. They're actually kind of funny sometimes.
You guys are silly. Like, keep the silly coming. I'm a silly gal. I want to hear more silly things. And we also want to shout out our new marketing coordinator, Sarah Khalid, for her hard work on revamping our Instagram and our LinkedIn. Thank you, girl.
Thank you, Sarah. You're the best. And to wrap up our episode, just a reminder to all of you guys attending New York City Climate Week, take a deep breath.
Oh, good advice, Nathra. Let's do it right now. I feel so much better.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself to be at a million events. If you attend 4 to 5 events with a full cup, then I consider that a win. So
a win is a win.
A win is a win. Good luck out there, definers. And as usual, as always, I'm Nathra.
And I'm Cecilia. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.